Daniel was a quiet, hard-working mechanic. He lived with his wife, Amara, in a small riverside town where everyone struggled but tried to survive with dignity. They had no children, but they had each other. And for Daniel, that was more than enough. One rainy night at his workshop, a powerful businessman's son was found dead beside a damaged car. Daniel was the last person seen speaking to him. He was arrested the next morning. No proof, no witnesses, just lies, and someone rich enough to make them stick. Amara begged, she cried. She showed Daniel's work records, his peaceful history, his broken hands that had never held a weapon. But no one listened. "They need someone to punish," Daniel whispered through the prison bars. "And I am poor enough to be chosen." He was placed in cell 12, among men who had forgotten what kindness meant. But Daniel still prayed every night, not for himself, for Amara. Outside, Amara fought for him alone. She sold her clothes. She sold their home. She walked from office to office, church to church, court to court, begging, praying, hoping. One prisoner, Mateo, watched Daniel's suffering closely. Mateo had once been a judge, until corruption took his power and his freedom. His hands had signed the death sentence of innocent men, and that guilt had eaten him alive. "Your wife still believes in you," he said to Daniel one night. "She believes in God," Daniel replied. "That is stronger." The execution day was set. 7 days left. Amara fainted when she heard the date. On the final night, as thunder rolled above the prison, Mateo made a decision. "Tomorrow," he said, "one of us will die, and one of us will be set free." With the help of a tired prison guard who knew the truth but feared the law, a dangerous plan was formed. When morning came, Mateo walked to the execution chamber in Daniel's place. No one noticed the difference. The paperwork had been signed. The name had been sealed. The system had already chosen blood. While Daniel was secretly moved through an underground exit, Amara waited at the riverbank with a small boat, tears blurring her vision. Then she saw him, alive, breathing, running toward her. They held each other like the world had returned. Years later, Daniel and Amara started a legal foundation for falsely accused prisoners. At their first public speech, Amara said, "An innocent man almost died because of lies, but another man chose truth. That is how God rewrites broken stories." And Daniel added, "Betrayal may build the prison, but love and faith hold the key." Daniel and Amara didn't run to a big city. They ran to silence. A forgotten coastal town, far from the courts, far from the lies. They changed their names. Daniel became Isaac. Amara became Ruth. They lived quietly, but freedom tasted strange when it was borrowed from another man's grave. Every morning, Daniel woke up with the same thought. Mateo died in my place. He tried to be thankful. He tried to be normal. He fished with the locals, repaired boats, fixed broken engines. Slowly, people trusted him. Slowly, life returned. But Amara noticed the change. He no longer laughed. He no longer slept peacefully. He would stare at his hands, the hands that had not died when they were meant to. "You were given life for a reason," she told him. "Then why does it feel like I stole it?" he whispered back. One night, while fixing an old radio, Daniel heard a familiar voice from the news. The powerful businessman, the father of the dead boy, had finally been arrested. Not for murder, but for covering one. The truth was coming out. The son had been killed in a drunken fight, and Daniel had only tried to break it up. For the first time in years, the world whispered, "Daniel is innocent." Amara fell to her knees in gratitude. "This is it," she cried. "God has cleared your name." But Daniel did not smile. "What about Mateo's name?" he asked. "He died guilty in the eyes of the world." They returned to the city for the first time in years. The court reopened the case. The corrupt officials were exposed. The record was corrected. Daniel was declared not guilty. People praised him, churches invited him, journalists followed him. But Daniel asked for only one thing: a stone, with Mateo's real name carved into it. He was not a criminal, he was my savior. At the unveiling, Daniel stood before a crowd and said, "Some people die surrounded by sin. Others die planting forgiveness. Mateo didn't save my body. He saved my soul, years past. Daniel and Amara adopted children of prisoners who had no one waiting for them. They opened a home called Second Chance for the Forgotten, the Mislabeled, the Broken. And every night before sleep, Amara would whisper, "Love saved you." And Daniel would answer, "No, sacrifice did, because betrayal started the story. But faith and forgiveness wrote the ending."